right, last off-season war here before season 29. Took path 4 and in section 1 and in section 2. Dealing with this Mojo first. Nothing special on the node. Same game plan as always. Gonna parry and attack to build light energy, convert it with the evade counter, drop SB2 when we're at 10 plus charges. Kind of paying attention to prompts, but not heavily. It is a heal block node that we cannot get rid of, so we are going to try to avoid triggering degen because we're just not going to heal from it. There's a convert at 7 dark, building up some more, but he's getting really predictable, so I've intercepted him and haven't built any light off of it, baiting out this SB1. Still only 1 light charge. Decide to parry heavy here since his prompt's not activated, convert that fury. This is going to put us over 10 and we drop it right off the evade counter, and he just melts. Now he has suicide, so everything gets tilted the other way as far as healing goes. Nice and easy fight. Next one, we're playing with Shang-Chi again. This is probably going to be the most complicated node that Thing is on, where it could get tricky, just because the insult to injury, reducing your ability accuracy by 15% for each debuff. So you see there, my parry didn't work, so we're doing the debuff shrug wushu, then we're throwing on the slow, and then we throw on the stun, and we reset. So there, went ahead and reset without the stun wushu, but again, there are the 2 before the stun wushu. Here comes the stun wushu. I believe I do it through block, because he just, oh, nope, there we go. Baiting out an SB2. Reset there. Went ahead and threw the slow on there so that we didn't run out of that. And since we get the easy reset off that SB2, now we're back to the debuff shrug. Baiting out this special. Okay, throwing on the slow. Reset. And I believe now I start throwing the stun wushu into the rotation. And again, this fight, most of the time you're going to trigger protect with almost every hit, especially on this node, since every time you shrug a debuff, you gain a fury buff. So even if I wasn't boosted, this node would still trigger. But it's going pretty smooth. It's a pretty controlled fight. Just takes a long time thanks to protect. One benefit is Shang-Chi's critical damage rating increases over time the longer the fight goes on. So you will see the yellow numbers start to increase against the protect. I think one of the SB2 hits, the last hit, does 4,000 instead of the 1.5 or the 1,500 that it just did. So there'll be small windows where protect isn't triggering, but it's pretty much unavoidable with this champion. So there probably are better options. You just got to be heavily on top of the debuff shrug. Otherwise, a lot of stuff is just going to shut down. Mole Man staying at a frenzy. Fury knocking the champion down a lot. So it can definitely get to be a tricky node. I can say that after taking this fight with Shang-Chi, I didn't really feel out of control at any point during this fight. I just kept with the game plan, which was the 2 wushus before the stun wushu, and then reset while he was stunned. And this thing didn't have recoil, so there weren't any suicides. So this is exactly how I think in season, there's the 4,000 hit, an in season fight would go. It does rack on your nerves a little bit when you see that unstoppable buff though. But just knowing that you have slow up the entire time is enough to be like, all right, let's ignore it. Let's just keep going. Continue the grind. I think I'd say if the protect buff is showing up that often, that boosting heavily would probably still help, because then at least it's higher 20% than what it is. I mean, if you're going to trigger it the whole fight anyways, might as well give it a little bit more. Hard to say though, without more practice. I believe here I try to bait this out and he's just being stubborn, and I just end up hitting him instead. Whack. down he goes. So pretty close to 100% health. All right, so I decided to bring my rank 2 Emma Frost into this war to try out some Untouchables counter, just because while she's in her telepath form, the champion can't evade. So not so much a worry with this fight, mainly because you can plan when Hitmonkey is going to evade, obviously after you knock him down. And I have to knock him down in this fight because this node has power alternator. And as you can see, I can dodge and retaliate his SB1 fine, but his SB2 is a whole nother ball game. So I'd rather not deal with that if I can. So you'll see me throw SB1 when I have it, but then I'm overly cautious about that evade that he's got up until it's gone. But I didn't really bring her for this fight. I brought her for the next fight against Mr. Fantastic on the first node in section 2 on path 4. So she, I think she might be an attack option for a few if they have her on the bench at rank 3. And the node is going to be a node where she can hold on to her power and stay in telepath form. So just needed to clear that Hitmonkey, decided to. Didn't take much damage at all. All right, so this was the fight I was really curious about. So logically, my plan was to hold on to all specials so that I stay in telepath form. However, I figured there could be windows to throw specials when I know he's gonna have a SP1 ready to go. And because of that, or the reason I assumed that was because his SP1 on this node is gonna cause that armor break, which is gonna put me in telepath form, which is gonna take away his evade. So he's unblockable the whole time, but I can hit him. He's not gonna evade. I can go hit into his block and try and bait out a heavy or push him to SP1. So it's a pretty safe fight as long as I don't try to block any hits. And that's what I was doing here. That's what I'm testing out. It's going pretty fine, pretty good. He does have suicides, so it's going faster than it would. However, I'm not boosted. And I think there's just one hit. It looks like I block, and I just was not ready for him to come at me. Now here I have to be careful. He's got a concussion on him. I can't have the game register that as why he's not evading. And there it is, the blocked hit. Whoopsies. We're fine, we're safe. Down he goes. So at rank 2, not a bad fight at all. All right, so the rest of this war is just bonus. We're gonna test out some other stuff. Taking this Sorcerer with Mr. Negative. I can't say, there could be a chance, since there's heal block on this node, there could be a chance where she goes unblockable and then I'm SOL if I cannot evade counter. So if she has unfazed on. So it's a little bit of a risk sending Mr. Negative here. I don't have to worry about a slow debuff. There's a class disadvantage here. I thought she was gonna, I don't know what I thought was going on. I just didn't block at all. But I do believe because there's armor break on the node and she causes armor break that she could go unblockable. And I believe it happens later on. So there's a risk with Mr. Negative here. Because, oh, nope, she just died. If I can't evade counter and she goes unblockable, we're gonna have an interesting time with Sorcerer there. Next up, I decided to take this Void with Shang-Chi. Here, I'm not going to reset my debuff Wushu, or my Shrug Wushu, as quickly as I normally do, just so that if I don't end up around the 10 hit combo when a debuff is going to place, that it shrugs it. And then once it happens, then I'll reset so that I know I have time, and then I keep forgetting about Mighty Charge on this node, so that I have time to get the next Wushu up. I just kept taking hits here. He kept recovering from stuff that I was not prepared for faster than I thought he would. And then because I can pretty much keep him against the wall here, wasn't really creating enough openings for myself to intercept him. And you can see there he's being passive too, so it just wasn't letting me backdraft intercept him. Got parried there. Luckily I had a cleanse, got rid of it. So the fight's not going that great. And it's mostly because I'm just not playing it well. I saw that debuff, so luckily I didn't try and dodge the rest of that SB1. I think coming up here I managed to intercept. Just felt it out. Or a backdraft off this SB2. Boom, got him off the wall. So decide to throw this, and I believe this KOs him. Yep. So monster SB2 after getting rid of that protection. All right, so this next and last fight is me taking this Wasp with Emma. Game plan here was to stay in telepath form, so I'm never going to throw one special. Is to bait out Wasp's SB1 the entire fight. And that's pretty much it. She's going to evade a little bit when I'm in diamond form here, and she's going to power gain from that. So everybody take a look. That's a passive power gain, so we can't use any nullifier or stagger or fate seal to prevent that power gain. And then once we get in telepath form right here, it's pretty much over as long as we don't mess up. You're going to see Wasp and the AI do what it's been doing lately and kind of feel out the spacing where it can get you with a heavy instead of come and attack you. But luckily, it seemed like I was on my toes enough for this fight that it didn't matter. Now, she is quick to attack me after a few light attacks that I'm not expecting, so she gets parried a couple times. But I managed to keep her at her wall enough so that I have enough room to bait out an SB1 and rinse and repeat that process. There, that's where it's getting tight. She just won't throw it. She's just being stubborn. There's a heavy. I just really don't want to have to deal with blocking an SP2. But yeah, pretty smooth fight. Here, I kind of wish Emma was rank 3. It would have gone a lot faster. I don't know that I'd be boosted for this fight, although I don't know that her basic attacks would trigger rage. So there's another heavy off of blocked hits. There we go. She finally threw that SP1, so going smooth still. But it will be nice to think about your evade counters that don't involve slow. I think the only champion that might benefit from slow your roll and have an ability to deal with the power gain is Doc Ock. And Vulture might now too with his buff, but I haven't played him enough to know how complicated it is to control that. But Doc Ock would immediately power lock from it. No, it'd be kind of a mixed bag because he needs that armor up buff, I believe, to place the slow. So that one got kind of close, but smooth and easy fight. That's the end of the off season. Look forward to the season. Thanks for stopping by. Keep your eyes out for the first war of the season.